Good day, Ms. Yaki. We're the Group 2 presenting our performance task in statistics and probability entitled Measuring Distress, a statistical analysis of the stress levels of senior high school students at NU Nazareth. Before we move on, I would like to state that our chosen exit is higher education.
To begin with, this study focuses on identifying the stress levels of senior high school students at NU Nazareth School. It looks into different sources of stress like school, family, and personal issues. Based on the 2014 report by the American Psychological Association, many teens face high stress levels that negatively impact their emotions, thinking, and school performance. And our three main objectives are: first, collect data from 50 students using a survey. Second, use statistics and probability to analyze and interpret these data. And lastly, share results with schools to help them create programs that reduce student stress and promote well-being. And what is the importance of this study? Understanding stress is crucial because too much of it can harm health, causing both physical and emotional problems. By knowing stress levels or the student stress levels, schools can support system to enhance both mental and academic well-being and performance.
Good day everyone, I'm Mikali Eisen Reyes, and in this task, the main variable is the stress level. Specifically, the stress levels of senior high school students studying at NU Nazareth. To collect this data, the researchers adopted a questionnaire from Cohen et al. 1983. In total, the researchers collected and measured the stress levels of a sample of 50 senior high school students. As shown on the dataset, the possible or sample values are 13, 26, and 40, where higher numbers mean higher stress levels. To be specific, scores from 0 to 13 indicated low stress, 14 to 26 indicated moderate stress, while 27 to 40 indicated high stress. This dataset is highly relevant according to the World Health Organization in 2024. 1 in 7 teens globally face mental health issues like anxiety or depressions. Additionally, stress can even lead to worse outcomes, so it's important to understand it, especially in senior high school students.
For the probability distribution table, as we can see here, outcomes range from 15 being the lowest and 37 being the highest. The outcomes with the highest probabilities are 18 and 22, with the probabilities of 0.10 and 0.2 respectively. On the other hand, the outcomes of 20, 21, and 25 has probabilities of 0.08, resulting in data being concentrated around these central values. While several outcomes including 16, 26 to 29, 31, 36, and 37 had lower probabilities. Moreover, we can also observe that the histogram is not normally distributed, with being skewed in the left with the tail on the right. Through this probability histogram and distribution table, we can see the stress levels of the sample of senior high school students, helping see and conclude that most of the students fall within moderate level of stress, and with a score of 22, indicating that most students are still dealing with the moderate levels of stress.
For the statistical measures, we have three: the mean, the variance, and the standard deviation. First, the mean represents the weighted average of all values in a dataset, and is also called as the expected value, since it is what we expect the long-run average to approach. Moving on, we can use the formula mu is equal to a summation of x times p of x to get the value of the mean. And in this case, the value of our mean is 22.8. Now, for the variance, it is used to measure the variation of values in a dataset from the mean. In simple terms, it is the square of the standard deviation. A small variance means that the data is concentrated around the mean, while a large variance means that it is very spread out from the mean. This is the case for a dataset. To be specific, we use the formula sigma squared is equal to the summation of quantity x minus mu squared multiplied by p of x, wherein we got the value of the variance of 26.89. As shown by this very high value, this indicates that our variance, it has high variance, wherein it is very spread out or far away from the mean. Now, for the standard deviation, it is simply the square root of the variance. It indicates how far apart the values in the dataset are, or how much it deviates from the mean. To calculate this, we simply took the square root of the variance, which gives us 5.19. Moving on, this table shows how we calculated the mean, the variance, and the standard deviation step by step. For the mean, the first step that we did was take the outcome, or the x value, and then multiply it to its corresponding probability. We did this for all x values. Then, we added each of them, or we took the sum, giving us the value of the mean. For the variance, the first step was to subtract each x value to the mean that we have calculated earlier, which gives us these values. Then, we squared each of them individually. After doing so, we then multiplied it to the corresponding probability of its x value. Finally, we added each of these values, taking its sum, which gave us the variance. Lastly, for the standard deviation, we simply took the square root of the variance that we got earlier.
As seen in the graph, the data is not normally distributed. Instead of forming a bell-shaped curve, it is left skewed with a long tail on the right side. These are the following reasons. First, the sample size of 50 students is quite small, which limits how accurately the data represents the larger population. With fewer responses, outliers can easily affect the overall shape of the population or the distribution. Furthermore, the distribution of the data is not consistent. A smaller number of pupils indicated high levels of stress, while the majority disclosed low to moderate levels. Third, there's high variability in the responses. The standard deviation of 5.19 and the variance of 26.89 show that stress levels varied widely instead of being clustered near the average. Following that, every learner experiences stress in different manners due to outside factors like individual stress or issues or even workloads. The data spreads more widely and unevenly as a result of these volatile factors. In summary, the data's non-normal distribution can be explained by the small number of samples, skewed shaped, high level of variation, and variation among individuals.
Good day everyone. To conclude our research, we found that most senior high school students at NU Nazareth experience moderate levels of stress. The average stress level recorded was 22.84. Based on our survey results, while this isn't considered extremely high, it's still significant enough to impact students' learning, mental health, and overall well-being. This confirms that stress is a common and serious issue among senior high school students that needs to be addressed properly. Additionally, since the data did not follow a normal distribution, it further proves that stress level among students do not follow a regular pattern. Each student perceives and handle stress in their own unique way.